So hi guys, I'm Artur Plociennik. I'm the executive producer on the game. And before I tell you about the French cruiser line, let me just briefly touch upon what Stefan was saying about the game itself, for those of you who don't know it. And I won't go into too much detail just because it's actually really hard to describe the game so that you will accurately understand everything about it and all of its aspects. But what makes it incredibly fun and unique is this really good blend of slow, thoughtful, and tactical gameplay, and the fast-paced combat action that you have during the battles as well. So you take control of a single warship, and you utilize its different characteristics to either just directly sink all of your enemies, or to control points on a map. And we like to call it a thinking man's action game, where it's less important for you to have good hand-eye coordination or good reflexes like in a traditional FPS game. Or even your ping is not that important in some cases. But it's very important to have an idea about how you want to play the battle, knowledge about your enemies and your own ship, and the strategy that you want to employ. So if this sounds like something that you would enjoy, then World of Warships is definitely the game for you. We also have a progression system that was pioneered by World of Tanks, and that lets you battle your way through 10 tiers of really iconic warships throughout a very important period of history, and lets you progress, lets you earn different rewards, and lets you fight a lot of very unique battles in the process. So, Jacek, would you mind switching to the game? Thank you. So we have 4 different classes in the game, and they all have their different characteristics, how they play, their strengths and weaknesses. So, first of all, we have aircraft carriers, and they can provide you, or you can provide your team with information just by sending out your planes to scout the enemy forces, or you can directly strike at them to try to sink them. But the important thing is that you can do that from the safety of being far away without them being able to retaliate at you. However, if you are caught off guard or misplaced, then every other class in the game will have relative ease to sink you. Then we have destroyers, and destroyers are very sneaky ships. They utilize their stealth and their concealment and their good speed to kind of sneak up on other ships and launch a devastating torpedo salvo. That's what they do. However, they're relatively small and fragile, so they have to be wary, and especially of cruisers, because cruisers have fast-firing guns that hit relatively hard against such a small ship, and they are their nemesis. Then, of course, we have battleships, which are the behemoths of the sea, the biggest class in the game. And because they're so big, they're well-armored, they have good survivability, and they have, of course, massive batteries, which they use to sink other battleships and cruisers as well. However, because they're so big, they're also relatively, they suffer from poor maneuverability compared to the other classes. So they are vulnerable to torpedo attack. So you can see that there's kind of a circle of influence between the classes. And last but not least, we have cruisers. And cruisers are generally the most versatile class of the game. They have relatively good speed, they have good guns, they have relatively good armor and good maneuverability. So they are well suited to a lot of different missions that you will be fulfilling during the battle. And to this last line, we are now adding a new nation and a new branch, which are of course the French cruisers. So just to briefly go through this line, it can be, generally speaking, divided into 3 parts. It starts with Bougainville, which is a colonial sloop. That's a subtype of cruiser that we've not had in the game before. And some of you who've been on the boat tour might have seen this same type of class in the harbor. And those of you who haven't will probably get to see it later today. Then at tier 2 we have a protected cruiser, Jeune de la Gravière. And then from tier 3 to tier 5 we have light cruisers. Tier 6, I'm sorry. Of course, at tier 5 we have one of the famous cruisers, Emile Bertin. The important thing about this ship is that in the game it's able to accelerate up to 39 knots, so it's a very fast cruiser. And indeed, speed is one of the hallmarks of the whole line. And this is further enhanced by a special consumable, a speed boost consumable. And those of you who've played the game will know that this consumable is not available on any other cruisers, and it will be available from Tier 6 onwards. Speed is usually used either for positioning, so it gives you this versatility to kind of be able to reposition yourself during the battle and to react to different situations. It also gives you protection in some cases, and this is important because, especially in the first part of the line, up to Tier 5, those cruisers don't generally have very good armor. It's very, very thin. However, at Tier 6, with the La Garçonnière, this changes. It's the last light cruiser in the branch. It already has an armor belt of upwards of 100 millimeters. And from there on, we go to heavy cruisers with the Algérie at Tier 7. Here you can see the design changes. There's generally not too bad armor plating, and the other hallmark is that they will have spaced armor in the game as well, which means that they are generally fairly survivable for a cruiser. They also have, heavy cruisers will have a higher artillery, higher caliber artillery, which means that they pack a bigger punch than the light cruisers before them. And this line goes up to Tier 10, and the Tier 10, the only 4, will have the biggest caliber artillery of all the cruisers in the game, with 240 millimeter main caliber artillery. This is even bigger than the current cruiser Moskva, which has 220 millimeters. So with this artillery, it will be able to pack a really mean punch and punish all of its foes on that tier. So, why should you play them? Jacek, do you want to go into a quick battle? Just to show what battles look like. So why should you play them? If you like a more tactical type of gameplay, less straightforward than, let's say, the American ships and the Japanese ships in the game, which are generally very straightforward, just drive in and start shooting at people. If you like a more tactical type of gameplay, where it's important for you to think about your maneuvering, think about choosing your position, supporting your team, and utilizing these strengths of these ships, then the French cruisers will be for you. It's kind of like the British cruiser batch that we released before, where their characteristics are not really well suited just to straight up engagements, but if you really plan your game and really know what you need to do with them, you'll be very successful. With the later parts of the tree, you'll also be able not to only play successfully against your chosen prey, which are destroyers, but you'll be able to punish almost all of the other classes, especially with the Henri IV with its really large caliber artillery. So yes, we hope that you will enjoy them as much as we enjoyed making them. And I would like to invite you to play them at stations that we've set up just up there. The only thing left to say is that the gameplay, of course, is still in testing. We're testing it on the live servers right now before we release. We will be releasing these ships on April 20th. That's when you'll be able to play them at home on your accounts. And we hope that the gameplay will become better, just as Stefan said, with age, just like wine. So thank you very much, and we hope you enjoyed it.
I will let Jacek play because, as you know, as I said at the very beginning, this is the strategic part where the teammates need to focus on the map. Maybe you can show the overview of the map to see the size. And yes, French keyboard, yes. So yes, you can see the size of the map and the small icons are your ships. So you see, you need to plan in advance what you want to do before going into the battle. So 2017, of course, we had the French cruisers, but World of Warship will not be only about the French cruisers. I cannot unveil much more. I will only tease you on what's next But we have a lot of surprises this year coming on World of Warship. Of course, with the French cruisers, we will appeal to the hardcore gamers and all the fans of video games. But we want also to appeal all the fans of historical facts or military facts. And for this, we will have later this year a very historical campaign that will appeal to them. Of course, we would like also to have the casual gamers on board and discover World of Warship. This is why also later this year we will have a very specific big surprise on mainstream, like let's call it mainstream campaign. So too soon to unveil that, but stay tuned because again we will try to appeal hardcore gamers, casual gamers, and historical enthusiasts. So join the game, let's play. You have demo station up there, and your PR managers, I don't see what's happening on screen. And the PR managers will drive you for the interviews zone area for all the interview schedule that you have. Thank you very much, enjoy the day.